welcome to RPMMORadio. This will be our third episode. I'll be your host, Ashen Phoenix, and with me, as always, are my other hosts, Sib.
Hello.
Who's somewhere in the background, and Jazz.
Hello.
Hey, ladies, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Good. So, episode 3, we've made it a whole month and a half now. We'll be calling this one Talking to Strangers because that's what you should always do. At least
Yes.
RP.
Yeah.
So, other than that, what have you guys been up to? Anything good? Any RP or any other games at the moment?
I'm just playing ESO and EQ and role-playing where I can find it, really.
Anything good? Any interesting roleplay?
Well, I've started another guild, so the whole meet everybody and get everybody in the guild I see is still ongoing, and everybody's still building their stories because we're all leveling like mad. So
Right. The old D&D, hey, you look like somebody I'd like to spend a lot of time with who I just randomly met. Let's do that.
yeah, I know. Every time somebody that I know joins the guild, I tell them, you have to think of a way that you know my character, or this doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, so everybody's kind of in that process because, as you know, you have two kinds of role players. Really, you have the ones that play the game and the ones that don't.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us play the game, so we're all madly leveling while we work on RP.
Yeah, and there's only, I think ESO's up to 5,498 levels now. Something like that.
You're funny.
You made me panic.
No.
Yeah.
He's being mean.
Isn't it like
There's
100
50.
something?
No, there's 50. It's 50 levels, and then you have, I want to say 200.
See, that's the
Maybe
part
it's
of it.
more than that.
Yeah.
200 mini levels or whatever you call it afterwards that are just basically like achievements or something
Yeah,
along
it's
those
like
lines.
the Destiny version of light levels, like you hit the level cap and then like your gear levels up kind of a thing. Or
Yeah,
weirdo.
It's
leveling,
very strange.
but not leveling.
You're essentially leveling like alternative advancements, essentially, like we did in EQ. It's just they don't call it that, but that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And once you get, because like I accidentally bought a little, it's a thing you put on your armor to make your armor better. And I bought it for
Very
like
apt
150. Yeah, I don't remember
like
what
an
glyph.
adornment
There we
kind
go.
of a thing.
Yeah, like an adornment. It's called a glyph.
Oh,
and
glyph.
yeah, who remembers that word? Anyway, and it was for somebody who was 50 plus 150. So I could use it because it was too far advanced. So I tucked it in my bank for later. But after I had a temper tantrum because I spent like $1,200 gold on it, I was like, oh God.
That's that horrible, hey, I'm new to this game and I don't know what I'm really looking at. I'm going to buy this because it looks really, oh crap, I can't use that for like another 3 months.
Yeah. Although to be fair,
better.
I've only been playing the game for 3 weeks and I'm already almost 50. So I don't think it'll be too long.
Yeah.
The mini level thing makes me feel a lot better because I was looking at, there was like 2 people in the guild that like one is like 100 and something and the other one's like 2 something. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm never going to make that.
Well, as I understand it, those mini levels go much faster than the regular level. So,
Well, that's
Okay.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it
that's
really
nice to
just,
know.
I like it because it keeps, that the game is going to be intriguing and you can go in any zone, anywhere. So it's always going to be kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what about you, Sib? What have you been up to?
just playing ESO with Jazz and
You left me. She's abandoned me.
no, I haven't left you. I RP'd with you the other day.
I have
and the
seen
whole
her
group.
in Final Fantasy. You need to be
It's
quiet.
just
thank
it's
you.
just like being back with my parents, just abandoned. I'm gonna go out for milk, never see him again. Both of them.
Hey, you know what? You abandoned me in several games, remember? You left me
I
in
remember that
EQ,
differently.
You left me in
Uh-huh.
BDO. I have tagged along behind you.
I
so
have memories of watching that happen, so you're kind of,
No, mm-mm.
He's
Yeah.
boned.
See, you can't trust memories of people.
female. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say nothing.
You're outnumbered. You know that,
You
right?
said that, not me.
Mhm.
Just
So-
catch an RP here and there. That's all I do.
That's cool.
I've had a lot of fun, though. It's starting to get interesting meeting people in both games.
She's definitely got a RP bug on her lately. She's been really going at it a lot more than, a lot of times she gets, what was that revelation you came to? It's like, I don't need to keep leveling constantly.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I felt like I needed to get to the high levels, and then whenever I saw that 200 something in ESO, I was like, I'm never going to make that, so let's just RP. So I've been kind of going out of my way to find RP here lately.
Definitely one of those age-old things people get trapped in. They don't feel like the RP. They've got to be at max level and and things like that. But well, I've been mostly still in Final Fantasy. Did a event kind of a thing where people were blindfolded and had one person was blindfolded, another person was sneaking up on them, and they would roll /random, and whoever got the highest either would make their sneak all the way to them, or the other one would hear them. It was actually quite a bit of fun. It was kind of a classroom thing, outdoors, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. Something about, there's always one of those things, it's without combat, seeing if somebody's going to win a roll or not win a roll, and then even more so how they react. Is some people were like, super stealthy and secretive about it, and other people, like Sib's character, was like, she won her roll to spot the guy sneaking up on her, and he, poor guy, had failed basically every roll at that point. And he was, she took pity on him and had her character, as goofy as it is, and just peeked up her blindfold and was like, I see you, so she won technically, but she cheated at the same time. It was pretty cute. You muted your... Yeah, you muted yourself.
I was saying everybody walked away satisfied.
Yes.
And I was muted.
Yeah, it's all right. That's why we don't let you push the buttons. Everyone knows I push the buttons.
I know, because I always press the wrong one.
Like in Star Wars Galaxies, where I push those, or not Galaxies, the Old Republic, and I pushed those buttons and almost got you killed. That was fun.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's pretty much, that, and what was the other one? Horizon Zero Dawn, which, if you guys or anyone's out there is a single player person, has a PlayStation 4, for the love of God, get that game. It's really beautiful, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's a very open world game, and very, very, very much fun. I've only gotten a little ways into it, but definitely worth it if you like those open world, freeform, go where you want kind of games. So, all right, so let's go. We're gonna go ahead and do a new thing, which we've kind of wanted to do this whole time, but really there wasn't a whole lot to go on. So we're gonna do some RPMMO news, which typically when we do this, it'll be stuff that's somewhat relevant to RP in a roundabout way. We're gonna try to catch it from all the different games, whether they add new emotes, or in some of these cases, if it's a game that's kind of new and doing things like that, or in our first case, where they shut down EverQuest Landmark, or as I like to call it by its original name, EverQuest Next Landmark, on the 21st of February. Good riddance, I say.
I know. I was just so sad. I love that game. It was it had so much potential, and they just shot it in the head.
Yeah, Columbus Nova is the Russian conglomerate that has taken it over, basically, and Daybreak Games is underneath them, and they're basically ran by a suit now. They've chased out all their talent, and they released Landmark like it was going to be its own game, as if it was intended to be that the whole time. And even though on their own YouTube channel for EverQuest Next and EverQuest Landmark, they still had the original videos that they never took down that said EverQuest Next Landmark. But yeah, I don't know what they were expecting. It was a cash grab, and clearly enough people understood that and were so pissed off. People like me that gave them $100 to do Landmark so that it would benefit EverQuest Next. And I learned a $100 lesson.
Yeah, so did I.
I honestly believe that's why he walked away from EQ2. He was so disgusted.
Absolutely.
I honestly believe that.
Yeah, I think so. It was really that whole, and that's all EQ2 is to them at this point, is a money grab.
Yeah, and I was, like I said, I was real upset. EverQuest Next was the big one I was looking forward to for roleplay. I know the style wasn't for everybody, that cartoonish kind of look. And even I wasn't crazy about it, but I was willing to give it a shot given the RP tools we would have to literally create anything we want, because that was brilliantly done, giving us basically dev tools to make things. But,
and it was fun too. I mean, I made a bar in my house and all this other stuff, and we had all these tools and all these emotes, and they were just doing wonderful. And then all of a sudden,
that was
they
just shitty. Like, you don't even get to create your character. That they had that stuff in.
Yeah. You had only human, and that was it. And then after they took out EverQuest Next as an option, and they took out all the emotes, and except for the stupid ones, and they took away the ability to sit in chairs and lay on the bed and everything else, and then they took away some of the building tools.
Went backwards.
Yeah, they gutted the game, and then they were like surprised no one wanted to play it anymore. Oh, and they took out combat, and I was just like, oh, so done.
Yeah. So, at this point, I think our best bet for EverQuest as a franchise is to hope that I hate to say it because it breaks my heart, it truly does, is that the whole thing goes under and they are able to sell it off to a company that actually gives a shit. And
exactly.
We'll treat it like it is. And speaking of things that from that original age of EverQuest 1, there is a new game kind of coming out. I have no idea when. It's like an alpha, beta-ish kind of thing, but it's a game called Shroud of the Avatar. It actually has a free trial. It's through the 3rd to the 9th. And what this is it's a game from Richard Garrett, who some people might know was one of the original creators of Ultima, which was one of the first MMOs from back in the day, the graphical ones, over the top. It predated EverQuest by a couple years. They crowdfunded the whole thing so far, and up to $11 million, which is, crowdfunding is nothing to sneeze at, really. I know a lot of MMOs, what was it? They said Star Wars: The Old Republic was like $100 million, and yes, that's substantial, but $11 million isn't bad. It's going to be a buy-to-play. It's going to have housing, standard MMO stuff. I actually, since it was free, I actually downloaded it earlier today and jumped into it, and it is definitely, graphically, it is definitely not up to today's standards compared to anything. I was trying to think of anything recent, but no, it is very 10 years ago graphically. I've got a computer that will run Final Fantasy or ESO at no problem whatsoever, and I was in the starting area and it was lagging, and it looks like a combination of EQ1 and EQ2, and like if there was a game that came out in between those periods, like almost like a Dark Age of Camelot but with more textures. And it was interesting. The text, the people talk to you, you click on what they say, and they're like, you can type out, they want you to basically, like in the original EverQuest, when you would talk to the NPCs, you actually had to type it out and make sure you hit keywords in there, or at least type the keywords. Now this has a click thing, but they'd ask me like, so what's your name? And there's no click for that. So I'd be like, your face is stupid. And they'd be like, hello, your face is stupid. I have a quest for you. Well, guess I kind of had that coming, but for trying it out, and it is in alpha stage, you can't be too rough on an alpha stage game. I know everyone's like, well, it's going to be bad, it's not going to get any better, but they do, and it is rough. It is not by the hugest of dev teams. It doesn't have big, back in the day Sony money. It doesn't have Blizzard money. It doesn't have Bethesda money behind it. So it's worth a look up until the 9th. You can see it at the shroudoftheavatar.com. Sign up for free. Doesn't cost you jack. Other than whatever.
Might be worth taking a look at. Yeah.
Yeah, can't hurt. I enjoyed it to a point, and then I was like, okay, I gotta go eat. And the last bit of news, it's not a lot of people are playing this anymore that I personally know, but I know there's people out there for BDO, Black Desert Online. The game is really one of the more gorgeous games out there, and the damn thing is already getting a graphics overhaul. They're adding this thing called, I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced separately, YEBIS or Yibis, which is what I'm just going to call it because I think it's a funny sounding word. But I watched a video on it, and they're basically redoing the lighting, textures, and they're upgrading it for HDR support, which if you aren't a tech nerd like I am, it's high definition resolution, or high dynamic range. God, for you're not techie like I am, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. HDR support, which is for like the 4K monitors, and it's basically, you think the colors on our monitors are bright and crisp now, but if you've gone to a Best Buy and seen an HDR, one of those big HDR TVs, it's got nothing on what we currently have, and apparently they're adding support for that. Unfortunately, even after, though it's going to look a lot better, it will still be grindy as hell. So there's that. That part won't be changing, it's just graphical. But it looked really good. And for anybody out there still playing BDO, I know it actually had a pretty good RP scene. At least by the time I left, I didn't leave because the RP wasn't good. I left because I got bored with the game, and I like getting loot through drops, not through just basically grinding money into my gear.
Yeah.
Buying items. And so
I like the horse gathering on that game, so that's about all I went into.
Yeah, it was rough, very, very rough. But there's that. So, and that was all we have for the news. Wow, that was fun.
Dun, dun,
So
dun.
let's go to our main topic here, and that's
Now we need like a little news tune.
yeah, we do. If there was only some way that the lazy person that runs the whole thing could do something like that. Unfortunately, there's no way for them to do that.
Are you calling Ashen lazy?
I know, right? God, in the dick too. Just a jackass. But
You're gonna start getting agreements, so you better stop.
Exactly. So let's see here. But let's go ahead and get our main topic, and that's talking to strangers, basically. So we went over the last episode. We're gonna kind of go through, like I said, kind of how you get into RP and things like that. But so after you've created your character, you've kind of come up with what you want to do as that person. How do you get to know other people? How do you get involved? Let's say we're gonna go for the sake of argument that you're going into a brand new game. Where do you go? What do you do? And so it can be a little rough. It takes time. It takes patience. And a little bit of luck and roll of the dice. So what we're going to do is tell you how to fix the odds for that. Never cheat at dice as long as you don't get caught. So one of the best things to do, obviously, like we said before, you got to know the lore, but you got to find out where the RP hangouts, like for Final Fantasy right now. It's really more of a Mos Eisley, but the Sands there is where a lot of people hang out and openly RP. You can actually find it all over the world, but the wretched hum of scum and villainy, it's got pretty much everything from naked dancing Fuda Rose to everything in between. It can be a shit show, but it's where you can also find decent role players too. We had that in EverQuest 2 back in the day before it got taken out. The Blood Haze was a really, really good one. Really good.
Blood Haze was probably the best place in the entire game to find roleplay.
Yeah, and now it's gone. Now it's actually a
parking lot for all intents and purposes. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, and it's just one of those things that you've got to learn. Yeah, every game has its own nooks and crannies of roleplay. There's, for whatever reason, there's always this one place that people gather, and that's where it just happens. Sometimes it's not even the best place. Like in Black Desert, it was one of the first starting cities you got to, and it wasn't even like the best city at all. It was, it wasn't bad. It was Heidel, I think. I'm trying to remember the name.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it Heidel?
But like the main capital of Calpheon, you think that's the capital. It was a huge city in that game. You think there'd be plenty there, but there wasn't. There wasn't much at all.
The only thing I had a hard time with that. The BDO was you would hear people RPing and they would be in a room, like in one of the houses, and you can't just join that. But that was my only, thing with that.
Yeah. They had a weird, they had good housing, not great housing. They had good housing, but the thing was it was all instance. But unlike some instances where you go in and you're in your own literal little world, you all were like stacked on top of each other in the same house. So everybody, if there were like multiple parties going on in one location, it would all bleed over each other into the window.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, you had to be real careful.
Also, going to just popular in-world taverns, places where you would go to have a drink. You can usually find our peers, hanging out in there.
Yep.
Yeah, just about every game. If you can find a tavern that's not too obnoxiously populated with NPCs, you will find role players. We're still learning where everything is in ESO, but again, it's the taverns. Like it's always, I swear, just as humans, we're just such creatures of habit.
Drink a beer and chat away.
And in the churches, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Around your religious places, you'll find role play, and along beaches and bluffs, you'll find people standing there that will role play with you. It's all typical. If you want to talk to somebody, go to a park and you'll see somebody standing watching the sunset, and you can sit there and talk to them. And the same goes for role play. Go to the places where you might want to just sit and watch people, and that's what you'll find.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of knowing where those places are at. And I see some people are saying I'm echoing. I'm trying to keep my voice down.
No, you haven't echoed at all, I don't think.
Well, sometimes it shows up on their end, so I've got to, I think it's got to just be careful. So I'll work on that. But
it was the landmark thing, wasn't it? Gotcha.
Got me so pissed off. Fuck the police. I mean, I have no idea what that has to do with it. The police are fantastic people, really. But
yes, they are.
It seems like the thing to say when you're really angry at something. So, but yeah, I mean, on top of that, and one of the best ways, of course, to find where you should go is getting a good guild. Unfortunately, we don't know anybody here that knows anything about running guilds, so we're going to skip over this part. But seriously, having a good guild around you makes all the difference in the world. I mean, it literally, it can, I've heard it from not just our peers, but just people that play MMOs at all. This isn't even just an RP thing. This is just an MMO thing. If you've got a dying guild or a shitty guild with crappy people in it, or, that they're drifting away and you're just left there, holding the, in the parking lot kicking rocks, where the hell is everybody, Don't feel like you're tied to that. Go ahead and find yourself a good guild, something that's active. It has to be an active guild. And for roleplay, that comes in even more handy because they can give you somebody to continually roleplay with and help develop your character, and also, be a jumping point for you to get comfortable in a game if you're able to find a good guild. Because sometimes finding random people out in the world, it's a crapshoot. It really is. But if you've got a guild, you've got a much better a chance at finding some decent people that are more on your play style, more of your temperament, and more understanding when you don't know how to do something or you're not familiar with a piece of lore, and you could pause it and ask them, things like that.
Yeah, it's very, very important, I think. Guilds provide not only, like you said, as a sounding board and a connection to the game, but if you land into a dead guild, it's almost as damaging as no guild at all, because you will miss the keys and connections that you need to make good RP. And I just recently had somebody makes a good guild, and I was stumped for a second, because you got to think how to put it so you don't sound like a
jerk,
a witch. Yeah, you don't want to sound like a jerk, but the bottom line, and you know me, I'm all about real life in the sense that real life comes first, period. But this is where I told them, I said, the best and most important thing is that the guild leaders have to be there. They have to be involved. They have to be attending, they have to be around, and they have to be active. They can't just be in-game and AFK. And that was true for my own guild, because when I couldn't play, what happened to my guild?
It suffered greatly.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't my fault. I mean, I had real life. I was going to school. I had no choice. I could not play like I was before. But if a guild, it's like a plant. If you can't water it and set it in the sun, it'll die.
Yeah.
And the same thing is, there's no harm in just saying, you know, I can't be around, so I'm going to put the guild on pause. Y'all go do whatever you want to do, and we'll reassemble if I ever come back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot more fair than to log in once a week and act like everything's fine. Yeah, because it's not. You're not doing your job as a guild leader, and you're not, and it is a job.
It is.
And that is one thing that I have argued with people about over the years. They're like, it's not supposed to be a job. It's supposed to be fun. I said, well, being guild leader is a job. And you either accept that.
Yeah, and there's people that have a job of tasting ice cream for a job. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. It's not always fun. Because you do have to, I mean, being a guild leader, you have a bunch of other people that are relying on you to make the tough calls.
Yeah, and
that's absolutely important. Is that guild leaders have to understand that they have a job.
Yeah, but we'll have that's an episode all itself on what makes a good RP guild.
Yeah, that's true enough.
In the works, but
okay.
For this sake, having a good guild. You know if you're going to be in one or not. If you log in and people are saying hi to each other, some of them, which I've always preferred, is something. I know we did in EQ2, but having an in-character communication, I mean, like a cell phone, basically, like a in-game cell phone system. But, we used amulets. Final Fantasy uses link pearls. Something so that even if you're not near people, you can still talk to them, still roleplay with them, is always a good thing. And,
I agree.
It gives you a way if somebody gets, say, in trouble. It lets them be able to come to you. If you just, you're stuck grinding something, you can chat things out and roleplay if something occurs, somewhere. Like, hey, so-and-so's having a party or having this. You don't just have to find out about it out of character. You can find out about it in character, which gives you a reason to go there. That's one of the things is coming up with a reason and why would your character be at a certain place at this certain time. There's only so many, oh, well, I just happened to be in the neighborhood that you can do before you start, like, all right, how long I kind of keep, beating this dead horse. But, it's just one of those things that having a good guild around you in pretty much all aspects of a game really, really increases your enjoyment of everything. You just have to have a friendly group around you. And that really, really bounces you into the community. It lets you kind of branch out from there, because then you can, you've always got your core, and it gives you a chance to branch out to meet new people, extend your character stories to involve, you can help that person that's, I don't know, fighting somebody in the middle of the streets and not feel like, and you could feel like somebody's got your back if, things get crazy, and sometimes that stuff escalates into something that's a lot of fun. And so, for the most part. And sometimes people get a little upset about things like that, but which I had happen once in Star Wars. We're fighting in a dark alley. No, you're not. You're fighting in the middle of a concourse where everybody's walking through here. It's a dark alley. Okay. But one of the things too is just don't be afraid. I know. I mean, shoot, even I know Sib does. I know, and I'm sure even Jazz and I, when you go to a brand new game, especially when you don't necessarily have, like, if you're there all by yourself first, it can be a little, you feel like the kid that's getting picked last in dodgeball back in school. It can be a little discouraging. It's just one of those things. It's a feeling.
It's very intimidating.
Yeah, it's intimidating, and it sneaks up on you when mentally, there's no reason for it. I mean, it's just a bunch of characters, but you still get a little intimidated by it, because they know what they're doing, or you think they do. For all you know, you have no idea if they've been there since beta test or since they, last week, just they're a week ahead of you. But it's just that perception you're new, so therefore everyone else has been there longer than you. But and when you're out there, you just gotta throw out some remotes, and if no one responds, like I said, don't emotes. What did I say?
Remotes.
Yeah, you gotta throw out. You know what? That also works.
Throwing remotes at people.
Hey, asshole, thrunk. Remote.
Change the channel. Sorry.
No, it is really important. I think that a lot of people, they go into an RP situation and they go sigh, and they don't do anything else, or they go picks out a book and starts writing in her journal.
Leans on a counter, sipping drink.
I mean, that's okay. But writing in a journal or sighing and that kind of stuff. But even
that, just leaning on the counter and sipping a drink, I've seen that happen a lot. If you're there all by yourself, there's nothing to interact with there. You've got to, if you're going to do a book, the book thing, you got to give people something to notice, like the title of it, something that might be interesting. If you're going to drink, you just can't be upset if it doesn't resonate with anybody. If everyone's like, okay, well, he's drinking, there's not a lot
Give people an opening to approach you. Like if you're, like you said, be specific on your drink. Say drinks an apple L.
Yeah.
Or is reading how to work on airships. Give them something that they can come up and ask a question about.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I've told new role players as a suggestion is never do something in game during role play that you would not interrupt somebody for in real life. So if someone's sitting at a table reading, are you going to walk up and start talking to them? We have some social norms, especially within America, where if somebody's doing that, you're not going to walk up and say anything to them because you don't want to interrupt
Actually,
them.
there's only one case in which you would, and that's trying to impress the chick reading the book.
That's true. That's true. But I don't know why they do that.
Different role play.
Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I have leaned on the corner and drank or watched people, but I also interact constantly with people that I'm looking at.
Right.
So I start describing the people that I'm looking at. I did that with Carrie in Guild Wars, is that when I first started there, I pulled the same thing I did with Vodka, which was go into the tavern and start obviously watching people and taking notes and paying attention to conversations and using those emotes to make it very clear that what they were saying was being noticed.
Yeah.
And I immediately got sucked into the local crime syndicate being pissed off because she was watching them. It was fantastic, and it was a lot of fun. It was a nice intro into the entire roleplay community there.
Yeah, and that actually kind of goes into something we've not really touched on it before, just when it comes to roleplay in general, but especially with emotes and stuff like that. Don't be afraid to be detailed. Sometimes, less in roleplay, less is not always more. It actually, the more you give as a description, be descriptive. Don't be, don't just do, I do it all the time, especially when I'm around people I'm comfortable with. I kind of get lazy. It happens. You get lazy or you're tired, /sigh. Or, but there's, you listen to any book.
Oh, that one girl, remember? She used to sit and cry at the taverns. Do you remember her? In the haze, she would go into the haze and she would sit there and she would cry. You don't remember that? I remember that. I remember thinking, why is she doing that? And she got all kinds of attention for it, which is why she was probably doing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say because dudes hate and chicks cry. I can attest to that. It's one of those things that I don't. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, you hideous hose beast, and I know you got that one gimpy arm, and you probably should have someone look at that hump on your back. But do you need a hug?
Yeah.
Are you crying because you're hideous, or
you're so awful?
Well, even Swamp Thing needs love.
Yeah.
You are a bad man. You know that, right?
We'll let you love on him.
Mm-hmm.
Or her.
Her. Hey,
we're not sure what Swamp Thing is.
Hey, I'm just saying, I don't want to assume anybody's gender. Swamp Thing could be a man, a woman. It could be both. I don't know. I don't know Swamp Things. Not many.
You are bad.
But yeah, just being descriptive. You gotta be never be.
Yeah, you really got to describe what you're doing and why.
Even with something as simple as a sigh, you can sigh in resignation. You can sigh in defeat. You can sigh in frustration. You can sigh, for a multitude of reasons that make me sigh. In a given day at work, trust me, there's a multitude of reasons that will make me sigh. It's just don't be afraid to go that extra step. You are writing a story with other people, and in any good story, if Tolkien had written The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit the way some people emote, it would have been a 3-page book. It would have been, and Frodo took the eagles to Mount Doom and dropped the ring in, and everyone lived happily ever after. It would have been that long.
The short version.
Short version, yeah.
What is that called? The Cliff Notes.
The Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Cliff. Cheating bastard.
Hey, he got me through college. Hush.
Yeah, I don't know where he got all the time between drinking at Cheers after delivering mail. The longer
Wrong Cliff.
What? No, it's the same Cliff. That's definitely, that guy was smart. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
That's definitely the same Cliff. So let's see. Before we...
Oh, I have one thing. I don't know if it was later down in the notes, but
Go ahead.
if all else fails, shoot people a tell. Because if there's a lot of RP going on, and they might not see what you're describing or being able to pay attention to what you're saying, send them a tell. Say, hey, I would like to RP with you. I know Ashen gets a lot of people that way. They just send him a tell wanting to RP with him, and he's like, yeah, whenever.
Sure, yeah.
Come on over. Join in.
I put them on my friends list, and I never hear from them again, so it works out well for everybody.
And me, on the other hand, I get people sending me tells, and I get missed if I'm gone for like a day.
You haven't been in the game for 3 days. I missed you.
It's just because I'm nice.
You got real pretty
I'm way
ears.
nicer than you.
You are nicer than me. That is definitely a fact. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead. Before we continue on, because we still got a little ways to go on this, we actually have another advertisement. We've actually got several of them lined up. We have so many, in fact, that we can't get them all in a single episode, which is really convenient for us because we only want to do one per episode. So, I'll go ahead, give us a moment, and we'll give a word from our sponsors. Mages, do you hate them? You know I do. Always playing with the fabric of time and space, bending the elements to their will. Nothing good ever comes of it. Especially when they start throwing out fire because you just happened to sneak into the tallest tower of the Mages Guild to liberate their latest works to sell on the black market, the regular old market, the everyday market that everybody uses every day to feed your 8 starving orphan children. And that's why I only use Giblet brand asbestos, the only asbestos I trust to hold back the flames of magic as I am tactically retreating from any and all fire-based attacks. It comes in a myriad of colors and goes great with any armor. Just apply Giblet's specialty glue, sold separately of course, to the outside of any armor piece, and you too can walk through the fires of the 7 hells in comfort. Giblet brand asbestos. Breathe easy, knowing Giblet has your back. Oh, see? That's not so bad. Everybody should have asbestos armor.
I love your voices. Oh my god.
What? That was our announcer guy.
Sorry. Yes, that was totally our announcer.
I definitely don't sound like that. Have you heard how nerdy I sound on this show? I sound like, it's like, hey, Urkel, did I do that? You two sound really nice, and I'm like, hey, I like video games too. They're fun. One day I hope to touch a boob.
You need to stop.
Yes, you do.
I'm the one that has to listen to the shows when I go back and edit them, so I get to say whatever I want about my crappy voice. So, all right. So that's a word from our sponsor.
Thank you, Giblets.
Oddly enough, you know what? Completely side note and go into reality here. At our workplace, we actually have to have twice a year a safety talk about asbestos because they use some in the glue in our flooring. And it's like 0.04% asbestos, so they have to do a talk where we shouldn't, like, I don't know, lick the floor at a post office. Otherwise, we may get asbestos. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'll make sure not to, pull up the tiles on the floor and... that's good. It's only been there for 40 years.
Well, you remember when they broke a tile in the break room and they had to
They
quarantine off the whole break
had
room.
hazmat suits.
Nobody, yeah, nobody could go in and out, or it was crazy. I was like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
It's the same company that someone spills a white powdered donut on their case and they close the whole thing down on asbestos scare. So, or not asbestos. What's the other one? Anthrax. The white one.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I could go for some anthrax right now. That sounds good. So, where were we? Oh, yeah, roleplay. So like we were saying, there's different hints and ways to get people's attention. I'm guilty of what it's a term I didn't like at first. It was supposed to be an insult. Now I just don't give a shit. Being an edgelord, which is somebody that's just so edgy and wears black. I have to wear black because it's slimming. Thank you very much. I have a little bit of a chub problem, and black is slimming. Don't judge me. That's why Neo wore black, is because he was actually 250 pounds. But that suit made him look good. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him not wear black? John Wick, he's wearing all black.
Wait a minute. What was the surfing one? He didn't wear black in that one.
That's true, he didn't.
What was that? Oh.
It was on blue screen. That was all CGI. That wasn't even his real body.
Oh.
You're so full. Oh, God, I don't remember the name of it now, but...
That's going to drive me nuts. I'll have to look it up.
I think that was called Air Bud Surfs Up. That was the movie he was in.
No, it wasn't.
Was not.
You know what? Go ahead and IMDb this after the show when you forgot that we had this part of the conversation. So, well...
Point Break.
Yeah, that was it.
Thank you.
Point Break. God,
and they just redid it, too.
Yeah, you'll
it's
notice
not the same.
Yeah, they did. You notice nobody ever heard of that one.
Well, it didn't have Keanu Reeves in it. It didn't have Patrick Swayze, so...
Yeah, I'm serious. That was like the only two reasons I saw that movie.
Shirtless
Those
Swayze.
two. Oh, God, that movie.
Jazz, I think we're showing our age.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right? Oh.
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
Okay, let's go on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on, shall we?
Fashion.
So the edgelord, that's right. So brooding in a corner, it doesn't really work. The dark and broody, I'm so
well, I gotta
and
say
edgy.
here,
it doesn't always work.
I was gonna say it does work if you're looking for a certain kind of RP,
right?
But if you're not really looking for RP, you just want somebody to run off to and do, grown-up things, it probably works just fine. But for actual role-play building, you're probably going to get kind of ignored because I'm so emo.
It's one of those things too. Like I've managed to do it, but it takes time. It's not something you can write into your character and then just. It's like anything when you meet somebody. You can't just tell them, oh, by the way, I'm I'm edgy and broody, and I actually am kind of somewhat antisocial. So if you could just know that ahead of time.
I've had people tell me that.
I know, but that's the thing is when they do that, that doesn't work. It has to.
No, I just roll my eyes and go, okay.
I know,
keep going,
and it can work. It really can. Xanis definitely had some edge to him, and he was definitely.
Well, yeah,
broody.
but you didn't go. By the way, I'm this broody, dangerous, evil guy.
Right.
I
mean, let them figure it out through the role.
Built up to it.
Yeah. Xanis is supposed to look evil, but he's not. I'm just letting you know that his true feelings is that he loves puppies. He just has to try to work and act like a bad person. And it's just like, dude, don't tell me that shit.
I actually
Stop.
do like puppies.
Oh, I know.
Bulldog puppies. We still don't.
But I swear, that is one of my pet peeves,
Someday,
is people who are like, they use the word evil to describe their character, in character and out of character, constantly.
Yeah.
One time, a bunch of us had a drinking game while we were at a roleplay thing in OOC. We were at a roleplay venue, and we did it. Everybody had to take a drink every time certain people use the word evil.
Oh my god. So after 15...
You guys were picking each other up off the floor, were you?
Yeah, we were all pretty trashed at that point.
15 minutes later, you guys were done. Everybody died of alcohol poisoning.
Oh my god, it was hilarious.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question on that subject, the edgy one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's easier for a girl or a woman to get away with being edgy and moody, being more approachable than a guy? Because I know if it was a woman playing it, I'd be more apt to approach her than a guy playing edgy and moody and broody.
I think girls who play edgy are usually not taken very seriously.
Come off as bitchy too, to be frank.
Yeah.
There's
but
a difference
guys
between
who play,
edgy and, bitchy.
Yeah. Guys who come off as saying, like, by the way, I am a dangerous assassin. And they'll say this to you.
They come off like the guys at Mos Eisley Cantina. You better watch yourself, son. I'm wanted in 12 systems. Oh, be careful. You'll be dead. Okay, yeah, we get it.
Yeah, so I think girls can act, wear black and be moody and woe is me and put their hand to their forehead. And they can get away with it more because, like a friend of mine used the term TNA, assets work really well for girls, but don't work as well for boys, particularly if they're story writing.
It's an unfair advantage too because a lot of women like TNA as much as guys do, so it really get the best of both worlds, and it's unfair, especially if the only counterbalance is it depends on the game. If it's a game like Rift, where no matter what I did, I could not make a good-looking dude. I always, because of a lighting thing, it always looked like I was one of those like anime boxers that always has the Band-Aid on the nose because it's always broken.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, I remember that. No matter what I did to that guy, he always looked like he had a broken Band-Aid nose. But then there's other games like Final Fantasy, or even depending on the race, I guess ESO would work as well. Dudes are pretty good looking. I'm just saying. I'm not gay, and I don't swing that way, but damn.
I think Final Fantasy, the dudes are almost too good looking.
That's a Final Fantasy thing. They're always pretty boys. That is definitely. I mean, if Final Fantasy 15, it's the whole story is based around, 4 androgynously not gay, but that gave off that vibe guys that are like totally bros, but not in that way. They're not going to end up on... Okay, actually, you know what? I guarantee you at this point they probably have ended up on Pornhub, and it's not something you probably want to look at. Look away, women. Look away. Those aren't real men. But, it's just you can be edgy, but you have to be approachable. There's certain ways, like one of the things I based my character off was Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Totally edgy guy, totally broody guy. He got his own fucking show. That's all I'm saying. He wasn't totally broody and edgy all the time.
You're starting to sound like a New Yorker, by the way.
He did shit. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying over here? Listen to what I'm fucking saying to you. For one thing, I'm fucking walking here, okay? I'm talking. You don't talk over me. You think you're gonna talk over me? You ain't gonna talk over me. You think this is funny like a clown? It ain't a clown. I ain't a clown. Okay. I don't got a little nose, okay? I don't got floppy shoes. I got
you do New Jersey pretty well.
All right. Tone it down, Hitman.
I'm gonna hit you later.
Come on, Vincent. You can handle it. Yeah. Vinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vinklevy.
What was that movie with Karate Kid in it?
Oh.
No.
My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny. There we go. Yeah, that's who you were channeling there for a second. That was great.
You got the two. Yeah, that's actually who I was doing it off of. It was Al Pacino, but,
go me.
Yeah, guy from. Yeah. I love that. What's that line? Yeah, the two Utes. I'm sorry, what? The two Utes. Utes. You know, Utes. What's a Ute? You know, Utes. You be youth? Oh, yeah, Utes.
You're gonna choke me.
That was so funny. I about fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard in that movie. I saw it in the theater,
and
I almost got thrown
movie.
out because I was just laughing so hard. It was fantastic.
I grew up. I come from Italian descent. My grandfather, he always grew up. He would tell me that he had tree of them. Hey, Michael, you want tree crackers? No, I don't want tree crackers. Why would I want a tree cracker? No, tree crackers. Tree. 1, 2, tree. Oh, 3 crackers. I'm 5 and I figured that out.
Yeah, I used to work at a Sicilian restaurant, and I would have quite a few amusing moments with their accents because they would talk, and I would try to act like I didn't understand what they were saying, and they would just start saying it louder and harsher until I understood them.
Like when you're trying to talk to foreign people, it's being louder and slower.
Until
makes
I would
English better.
completely crack up, and he'd be like, "You messing with me, aren't you?"
Messing with me.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little.
God, I don't even remember where we
Me
were.
too.
No, I think we lost our track. We were talking about
Edgy and
being broody and edgy.
broody.
Off on
Yeah.
Angel.
Because if you,
We went on a tangent.
yeah, it's just fine, perfectly fine. It's far more entertaining than anything else I was probably gonna say. But you know, because one of the things too, when you do that stuff, especially if all you're doing, you go in there and you emote once like every hour, you just look like you're AFK. In fact, a lot of times your AFK tag will kick on.
Yeah,
So,
depending on the game. Yeah.
but so the other thing is not to be the broody edgelord that sits in a dark corner. It looks great in Lord of the Rings when Strider does that off in the corner when all the hobbits are being fucking retards drinking and they're supposed to be hiding, but it doesn't work real well in RP because there's no main story to connect you directly to it unless you already know that person. So another thing to do is don't be afraid to introduce yourself and butt into other people's conversations. Unlike real life, you don't, you're eating your McNuggets. You don't go up to somebody else and be like, "Hey, I was just creepily listening to you while I was dipping in the sweet and sour sauce, and I wanted to come over here and say hello." It's rude, but in roleplay, you gotta do that. You have to get in there. You gotta break the ice. You gotta get involved. If they completely ignore you, they may have don't take it personal. They may have just missed it, especially if you're in a busy place. Feel free to send them a tell. 9 out of 10 times, people aren't going to be douchebags, and everybody is role-playing because they like it. Nobody's role-playing because they got a gun to their head. And if they are, it's probably going to suffer somewhat. And it also may be cut short suddenly.
It's also important not to get overwhelmed when someone doesn't respond to you. If you walk up and you talk to somebody, they don't say anything, so you slink off. You really shouldn't do that. Either send them a tell because they didn't respond, or repeat it, because many people, myself not included, do not read very fast. And so if you're in a roleplay place, scroll. The text is just... sorry. I read really fast. I type really fast, so I don't have that problem, but I know that a lot of people do, and they complain because I type really fast and I don't wait.
Well, I'm one of the top 3 best readers on our server, so...
I was wondering when that one was going to pop up.
Yeah, we're going to tell that story today, by the way, just so that we can have that as an ongoing joke like we have in our real lives, to the point where our kids actually say that shit now. But no, she's absolutely right. Even I, when I'm role-playing in a crowded area, if I've got 2 or 3 people in front of me that I'm actually role-playing with, I only focus in the chat, especially a game like Final Fantasy where they don't have the chat bubbles, which are, by the way, our set game. Every game should have those.
ESO's, their chat bubble sucks.
Yeah, okay, good chat
I may
bubbles.
have to... Yeah, good chat bubbles. Actual bubbles would be nice.
Yeah,
not
giant
just
squares.
Not just text rolling across the top of the screen, and you're supposed to know somehow that that's what it. Yeah, really irritating.
But yeah, it's I only look at those 3 names. If I'm looking in the chat, I'm specifically looking because I always feel like a shithead. And you shouldn't. If you miss text, you miss it. It happens. We've all done it, and we all will do it, and we'll continue to do it. But I always concentrate on the names of the people I'm talking to, which sometimes mean if somebody tries to butt in, I miss that because I'm so laser focused, especially when the text scroll is going so fast because there's 20 people around you. Yeah, that you just have to focus on that. You can only focus on so many things at one time and read so much for the most part. I know Jazz, as fast as you are, even there's time you get overwhelmed.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
Especially
I was the bartender.
Parties.
If I'm a bartender or whatever, playing bartender, and I have to read everything, and at the end of that, I'm tired because that was exhausting. And for people that I know don't read that fact,
Yeah.
who are just trying to keep up. And I know some people who don't go to tavern events simply because they can't keep up with the text, or like you, they just sit off on the side and watch for the people they know to talk, and they don't read anything but that.
Yeah, if I'm there not engaged yet, I'll read everything as it comes up to look for my intro. But once I start talking to specific people, that's all I can focus on. You know, if it's you two there that I'm already talking to, and there's 15 people around me talking at the same time, I gotta give to the conversation I'm already in. And if somebody sends me a tell, then I know to look. And because that pops up as a different color, a lot of times there'll be a little ba-boom, you know.
Yeah.
Which is the official sound of all tells. Ba-boom.
It always is, yeah. And, you know, like some games, I hate to pick on Guild Wars too, but we all have to. All emotes, all text was gray.
Right. I hate when games don't let you change the color between emotes.
Yeah.
I could not keep track of what people said because it was gray. Not because I couldn't read, but because it was gray. And it just kind of slipped past me because it was less bright. Whereas in ESO, everything's a different color. I could choose that color. I know exactly if I see pink, that is a tell. If it is yellow, that's say. So I've already got it in my head what the colors mean.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's a good point too. If you're starting out RPing and your game lets you change the text color,
by all means do it.
Yeah.
Pick colors for your emotes and pick colors for your say that are going to jump out at you, and then make tells a completely different color so that you don't mess them up, because it's really easy, even for people that have been doing this for 20 years, to make that mistake. And it's not that we're ignoring you. It's just people are overwhelmed. So say it again or poke again. Yuck.
Thank you.
Excuse you. Oh my God.
No, I wasn't burping. I snorted because we actually just got Dark Mystic 7993. Thank you for following us on Twitch. There was a noise I hadn't heard before, and it came up on there that he is following us now, and I was like, I was not expecting the noise.
Burping out loud.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised. I was like,
it would happen. I would actually, I would do that all the time. I try not to do that. That was more of a snort.
Okay, you are forgiven then. I was gonna, I have to deal with my boys farting and burping as they walk by me. It's constant.
Sib and I may do that while we're on the phone because we're married and we don't even give a shit anymore. But no, I would not do that, for one, to Jazz, and two, to anybody listening, because... Okay, I can't say that. I'll probably do it sooner or later. Sometimes you can't help it's explosive. But
well, you
just don't drink a pop while we're doing the show.
But thank you for following us, Dark Mystic, and also Arca Snow. Thank you for joining us live as well. Just gonna throw those shouts out, and of course, Circe, because she's awesome.
Hi, Circe.
So we have, before we go, I mean, we pretty much covered a lot of that. I mean, there's always more, unfortunately, even after the last episode we did with character creation. I thought of like another hour's worth of shit I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But before we go, we got one last story, and it involves a roleplay that happened in Star Wars The Old Republic when Sib here met somebody that wanted to do, which we've done it before. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons style version of RP storytelling. You take somebody to an area and they DM basically the entire thing out. And I don't even remember what it was about, or even who the guy was, but he's still stuck with us. What has this now been?
I don't even
4
remember.
years later.
But it was when I was pretty new to this RP stuff. I mean, I was like, I didn't really know. I mean, I was just getting into it, sticking my toe in the water and getting a little confidence build up so I could go RP with people that, I didn't have to have Ashen sitting right there on my shoulder going, okay, you do this, you do this. Am I doing this right? So, but yeah.
You want to go ahead and tell it?
It was bad.
She's embarrassed of it now, even though it has nothing to do with anything she did or said. It was what he said,
and I
was
didn't
just
realize,
so funny.
Yeah, we were in the middle of the RP, and I can't remember. I can't even remember what it was right now either. But he had told me that if I had any questions, feel free to ask him because he was a good source to go to because he was one of the top 3 role players on the server. And at that time, I was like, wow, that's impressive, you know?
And this is
was
when
like-
I walked over and just happened to lean over because I was curious. I was like, what are you guys
Mhm.
doing? And I read that. I'm like, top 3? Oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. Really? Did he just say that? I literally lost breath.
I
for
thought I had
probably the
met
next
somebody
5 minutes.
important. I was like, oh, wow, okay, cool. And then Ashen informed me,
That's gloating for the sake of gloating. So yeah, he did. I will give him this. It was good RP. Was it top 3 role players on the server RP? I'm not one to judge. I'm just gonna say no. But ever since then, anytime we do anything even mediocre or standard of just the bare minimum, yeah, probably one of the top 3 best podcast hosts on the internet. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm not one to brag, but I mean,
Mhm.
compared to say Joe Rogan or NPR or anybody with millions and millions of viewers, we're definitely in the top 3 of those guys. I'm just
He's just throwing down the gauntlet right now.
Yeah, bring it on, Joe. Don't hurt me.
Hurt you. But no, that was like one of my first RP experiences, and I will never forget it. It just
Yeah.
and
So,
I've learned if they say that,
yeah.
just
There's
walk up.
always the egos in RP. That's just part of the everybody. You've got to have somewhat trust in your belief, and a little ego is not bad. Top 3 role players on the server ego. You've probably crossed a line. Just saying. So, all right. So, we guys got anything else before I got a couple things to say in the closing, and then we'll bang on out of here. So, you got anything else you want to add real quick before we do
No,
that?
I think we covered it for today.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to stress send tells. Just send that tell because you never know. It may be one of the best friends you've ever met.
Yeah.
RPing.
That's how Jazz and
So-
I met. You could
Yeah.
you could get a friend you're gonna know for the next 12 years and watch their kids grow up with each other and have never met face to face even a single time. Yeah.
Not yet.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on it. Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So before we go out of here, I want to thank everybody for listening. The people that were tuning in live as we went through it goes up and down, but I appreciate every single one of you. Those of you that are going to download it at Google Play or iTunes or Podbeam or even Stitcher now, which I signed us up for. We're also on Stitcher. So one thing I want to ask you guys, anybody if you enjoyed the show, if you've enjoyed Roleplay and you like what we have to say, share us, share either the website, share the link to the podcast, whatever you want, Twitch channel. Just help us get the word out there. We do this as a labor of love. We like Roleplay. We want there to be more of us. I mean, not of us podcasting, but of role-playing. It's such a fun experience to have in what is already a fun genre of video games, that the more the merrier. And there's plenty of people out there that want to do it, that are nervous to do it, that maybe don't know all the ins and outs. And I know we kind of get into the weeds of stuff and, we bash on some stuff, but that's because we've been doing this so long. And if you can't have fun with it, what the fuck's the point? We just want you to help us get the word out there. The more listeners we get, the more we'll be able to do, the more interaction we have with people listening. If you send us, either you could send us a comment on Twitch, or not Twitch. Can't do it on Twitch. Twitter. Hey, it's Twitch and Twitter together is Twit. Just came up with Zuckerberg's next big thing. I'm gonna twit somebody. But you could, But
yeah, send us a comment, send us a question, and we'll answer it.
At RPMMORadio, or RPMMORadio@gmail.com if you just want to email us. If it's a little lengthy, we'll probably read it on the air because that would be cool. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, likes, dislikes, just let us know. The more feedback we get from everybody, the more we have to interact with, other than, the ladies having to put up with my bullshit the entire time, constantly making fun of everything.
Constantly.
That's what you sound like on top.
Uh-huh.
And it also gives ideas of what you want to know. What
Yeah.
can we help you with?
Mm-hmm.
Or what can we think we can help you with?
If there's a topic somebody really, really wants to go, we're just going in order of things that we're finding interesting right now. If there's something that's more, that somebody wants to hear more of, we're open to it. And if you're gonna come in here asking us if we, wear whale costumes and dress up as furries and go to the conventions, the answer is probably gonna be no, weirdo. But
stop.
What? I'm just saying.
We don't claim him, and his opinion is not ours, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think that's in the disclaimer at the end.
I'm pretty sure it is.
To that,
yeah.
And also facebook.com/RPMMORadio is the other place. It's, of course, you can write as long as you want. It's kind of like an email, but everybody can see it. So, go whatever. Just help us get the word out. If you're part of an RP community in the games we don't play, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of experience in World of Warcraft. There's nothing against World of Warcraft. Just none of us ever jumped on that bandwagon. It just never happened, And I've done around. I know there's plenty of RP communities out there for that. So, we'd love to get involved and learn a little bit more about the roleplay communities in World of Warcraft. And what did you roll, Sib?
I didn't roll. My chapstick fell over. I was sorry.
Sounded like
I was playing with my dice and my chapstick fell over.
That's so funny.
Sorry. I have been
what
doing
was
a lot
that?
more of the rolling thing, though.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that'll be it for this episode.
Right.
What's that? Wait.
Were you going to do the tune in next time?
I was actually in the middle of doing that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Interrupted.
I get excited. Sorry.
I'm getting better at this. I know I completely forgot to do it in the
It's
first
the
episode.
little things that I get excited about.
But
Okay.
I also forgot to check the sound quality in the first episode. So
Yes, you did.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the peanut gallery.
Yeah, that's what my job is, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're learning. It's
Wish
a
you were
learning
allergic to
process.
peanuts too.
I am. Actually, I can't eat
Yeah, I know
those
you
either.
are. You can't eat anything that's not. I don't
I'm
think
getting on that
at this
bandwagon.
point you can't eat anything that casts a shadow, right?
Probably.
Yeah, okay. We all have health issues. We're not the healthiest people, which is why we sit healthily behind a keyboard for 5 hours a day.
Shh.
What?
And it's fun.
Goodbye.
All right. So, appreciate you guys tuning in, all that stuff I said before. So, all I need you to do is, tune in next time. We'll discuss dark elves. Are they really dark or just emo children of the night that need more hugs? Find out when we start our new Hug a Dark Elf campaign that begins next time on RPMMO Radio. Good night, everybody.
Night.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by RPMMO Radio are just that, and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great rock covers.